Hi, family, and welcome to our Thinking Thanks Tuesday. I'm sorry, I'm confused which day it is of the week. So, as you all know, on Tuesdays on Chick TV, it's Current Affairs, where we look at our current affairs, what's happening in South Africa and also around the world. So without wasting any time, and for today, we are also doing the same, and there's a lot which is happening today. And you know, our favorite person is always in the news, which is our former president, Jacob Zuma. So he's also in the news recently, and there's also condolences to the ANC. It's just happening. So we're having some energy drink just to get some energy. Apparently, I don't have energy. So we're having some energy drink and we look at the news. So like any other Tuesdays, oh, uthini eyiphinda mna le nto ndilungisa xa ndilapha ekamera. There we go again. Anyway, apparently my wardrobe was messed today, so again, see, we've got a producer slash stylist slash everything. So yeah, family, back to our Thinking Things Tuesday. So in front of me, without wasting any time, let's see what interesting news we might find in front of us. So as I said, today, as all in the international side of news, is it's the last day of U.S. Troops in Afghanistan. So this is the final day, 31st of August, as the president said so. So today, and as you, if you've been watching or you've been following the story about Afghanistan, you'll know that there's been some suicidal bombs which happened, and quite a lot of people passed away, including US soldiers. So yeah, the blast happened in Kabul airport. So there's also that. So I don't even want to talk about the eviction and so on, how America is leaving Afghanistan, because if you have to look at the history, how America got into Afghanistan in the first place, you'll understand that, tell you the truth, this was a no-brainer from the start. But then, as we all know, that American presidents, if we have to tell the truth, the two Bushes, they they deal with arms deal. They family business is weapons. So what does that say? America would have forever been in war with each and every country on this planet because the presidents were supplying the weapons. So in a way, somebody was making money from American soldiers going into these deployments all over the world and starting wars. And the sad part is this: I can't really be angry at the soldiers, because at the end of the day, the soldiers are following orders. They were just doing their job. So, for example, if the president of South Africa decides that or he wants his soldiers to go to Lesotho, definitely they will go. And then at the end of the day, it's their job. So I'm not angry at the soldiers which went to America. It's just the decision from the people which are leaders, from the people which could take better a decision than war. I have never heard America choosing a better option like peace, a peace deal, peace talk. America always end up going to war, to war, to war. Every time a country has a problem with America, America wants to take arms and go fight. So I've never really looked at America as America being a peacekeeper. America knows how to create peace. So I get surprised when America is the role model of the earth. Like, what have we learned from America? What has America taught the world besides go and fight and be bullies? If somebody doesn't agree with you, you must go and fight them. So I hope maybe somewhere, somehow in the near future, our leaders will learn more about creating or making peace than going to war, because war is expensive. And war, at the end of the day, is it's just a mess because you lose your loved ones, whereby they were just following orders. They didn't even know where where did where did these issues come from. And we can't stop people from being soldiers. People are passionate about their country and they are patriotic, and some of them they show that by being soldiers. So that one, Afghanistan. For me, my own opinion, I'm happy that America is leaving the country alone. Yes, the people of the country must just work out their own way in trying to rebuild their country. That's all I can say, because I wouldn't want America to come and show us South Africans how to be civilized towards each other. No, I wouldn't want America to come and be our moral compass. They are the last people on earth to want to teach the world about morals. So without wasting any time, here we go again. Let's go back to today's news and try to see what's happening from within our borders before we go to America. Take a sip. We already fight with America and Afghanistan. So, and the other thing is, I'm not aware that it's not really Joe Biden which said the troops are coming back. That was a decision taken by Trump already, but then this one is just the one which has to do the actual eviction or the actual leaving, the withdrawal. But then the news of the withdrawal of American troops was from Donald Trump already. Okay, let's see what we can find. I'm not sure why is my SA latest. That's all I say, latest. Ndiyazikuthena ndibhanqile into yam namhlanje. Kule ndifumene enye yonke ibinele nto. Ibineendaba zonke. Like it's fine.
Oh.
I'm loading here, so there's nothing I really can do. Okay. So we've got latest South African news, and it's News 24. What's this? Okay. Sure. So on News South Africa, I don't know videos. Okay, here's one. NPA finally receives Zuma's medical. Oh, I don't like SABC News because normally they audio than written. Okay. The one we've got in front of us is SABC News, and it says NPA finally receives Zuma's medical report, and this is 27 August 2021. What's the date today? It's the 31st. Oh my goodness. So where am I? This sick isn't having insistence. Okay.
What?
9 minutes, yeah. Ooh, yeah, I think, I don't know where am I, it's all over the place. I've been starting for the So family with changing gadgets. That one seems to be confused, so we are using this one. Whew, that was work. Sorry about that. Okay, here's the news. In 702, one of the news which were recent, which we've just heard now, it's the passing on. Remember, we've got a lot of condolences. And this is from 702. It says ANC MKMVA. Can you stop the advertisement? Okay. ANC MKMVA leader Kebi Mapatso has passed away, and that was 3 hours ago. It says, okay, let's always press like. Remember, if you're gonna read somebody's story, we give it a like. Okay, it says here, Johannesburg, leader of disbanded Umkhonto weSizwe Military Veterans Association, MKMVA Kebi Mapatso, has passed away on Tuesday. Details surrounding his passing are yet to be communicated. According to the People's Assembly, he was a trained political soldier of Umkhonto weSizwe MK. Mapatso served as Deputy Minister of Defense from 2014 to 2019. He was former member of the Congress of South African Students, COSAS, Soweto Youth Congress, SOICO, and South African Youth Congress, SAICO. He went to Angola and the Soviet Union to receive his training and was also exiled in Uganda before returning to South Africa. Under his political direction, MKMVA became an integral component of the ANC. And that's all we have for now from that one. And then let's go straight to, so condolences to the family, and we hopefully may his soul rest in peace. And then this one, it says Taliban seized control of Kabul airport after US withdrawal live. So there's the one which we're talking about, the Afghanistan. So the ANC lost the MKMVA. Data. So our condolences goes to the family, and now we are in Taliban. It says here, this is 30 minutes ago by DW. Taliban seized control of Kabul airport after US withdrawal. Live updates. Wow. So hopefully we'll be able to read something. Western powers pledge to continue efforts to get eligible Afghanistan evacuated. EU ministers meet to discuss Afghan refugee crisis. Taliban take control of Hamid Karzai International Airport. Pentagon confirms all US troops have left airport. So that's what it's. The article was last updated at 15:30 UCT. Okay, this is supposed to be live updates. A few dozen French nationals left behind in Afghanistan. France says a few dozen of its nationals are still in Afghanistan. According to Defense Ministry spokesman Hervé Grandjean, every effort is being made to get those left behind safely evacuated. He said that is the goal of the talks underway within the United Nations framework with the Taliban power. This echoes the diplomatic stance other countries are having to take when dealing with the Taliban since the withdrawal of US troops. France was also unable to get a number of Afghan employees out of the country in time. Efforts to evacuate those Afghan nationals will continue, according to Grandjean. I hope I'm saying the surname right. Afghans who have been left behind will not be forgotten, NATO chief. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said Afghans who were not able to get out of Kabul on evacuation flights will not be forgotten. He also said the airport needed to continue operating in order to help with aid distribution. It's essential to keep the airport open, both to enable humanitarian aid to Afghan people and also to make sure that we can continue to get people out. Those who wish to but we're not able to be part of the military evacuation. Okay, those who wish to but were not able to be part of the military evacuation, Stoltenberg told AFP news agency. We will not forget them, Stoltenberg said. Berlin keeping an eye on Taliban pledges. Germany's Foreign Minister Heiko Maas said time will tell if the Taliban fulfilled the end of the bargain on inclusive government and allowing people the choice to live should they wish to do so. It is important for us that all Afghans, even those who do not support the Taliban, feel represented by this government, and it remains to be seen whether the Taliban take this in account, he said. As to the Taliban's promise to allow those people eligible to leave the country to do so, Ma said, we will, I believe, see in the coming days and weeks whether one can trust the word on this. German minister expresses concern about refugee quotas. Germany's Interior Minister Horst Seehofer has said on arrival at an EU meeting that he opposes the bloc establishing specific refugee quotas for people trying to leave Afghanistan. He said that setting numbers in stone could create a pull factor. Seehofer said, I don't think it would be very clever to start speaking about numbers here because numbers set something off. That's as Luxembourg Foreign Minister Jean Asselborn said the bloc needed to be clear on protecting the most vulnerable while offering hope. Asselborn said now wasn't the time to show up the borders and organize returns. Seehofer said Asselborn should consider the interests of larger EU states who end up taking in most refugees. Canada offers to take in 5,000 Afghan refugees. On Tuesday, Canada said it will resettle around 5,000 Afghan refugees after they were evacuated during airlift operations. We are pulling out all the stops to help as many Afghans as possible who want to make their home in Canada, the country's immigration minister Marco Medicino said. Over the weekend, Canada and its allies received assurance from the Taliban that Afghan citizens with travel authorization from other countries would be safely allowed to leave Afghanistan, Medicino said. U.S. mission to get Americans out of Afghanistan will continue. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says the evacuation effort has shifted from a military mission to a diplomatic mission. Sullivan said the U.S. has considerable leverage over the Taliban and will use it to get the remaining Americans out. That number has been said to be in the low hundreds. Sullivan said that humanitarian aid would still be sent to the people of Afghanistan, but it would also depend on the Taliban sticking to commitments. Okay, EU ministers meet over expected Afghan refugee crisis. Justice and interior ministers from EU states are meeting to discuss how the bloc should deal with the stream of refugees and migrants that the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan is expected to trigger. The ministers are expected to discuss proposals for aiding refugees in countries bordering Afghanistan to prevent them trying to get to Europe. The EU is seeking to avoid a similar situation to that in 2015 when Syria's civil war caused more than 1 million migrants to come to the bloc, leading to internal rows about how to manage the crisis. The proposals to house refugees away from Europe have created concerns about refugee rights among activists. In a letter to the European Commission for Home Affairs, Ylva Johansson, Amnesty International said that the EU and its member nations must refrain from extremely damaging responses that put emphasis on keeping the EU's border protected and promising or adopting measures that shift the responsibility for the protection of refugees to third countries. In particular, the rights group said Afghan women and girls should be seen as prima facie refugees because of the risk they may face in a Taliban-ruled Afghanistan. Austria says it has taken enough Afghan refugees. Austrian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz has said that his country has already taken a larger than proportionate share in a Austria says it has taken enough Afghan refugees. Austrian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz has said that his country has already taken in a larger than proportionate share of migrants since 2015 and would not support a scheme distributing Afghan refugees across EU. Speaking ahead of a meeting in Berlin with German Chancellor Angela Merkel, Kurz said Austria already had the fourth largest Afghan community in the world. Oh God. Leading Taliban figure says group poses no threat to anyone. In a speech in Kabul, a prominent member of the Taliban's political office has accused the West of smearing the Islamist group, saying that Afghanistan's progress will soon be visible under its rule. Shahabuddin Delawa also repeated assurances made recently by the group that it is not a threat to anyone and will be a reliable partner for the international community. We do not seek revenge, he said. His comments seem contradicted by reports of Taliban members going door to door in some parts of the country as they seek Afghans who worked together with international forces during the 20 years since a US-led invasion. Oh gosh. A former Afghan minister says women want to be in Afghan government. A former female Afghan minister who was evacuated to Norway has told DW she was ready to work with the Taliban if they honored their pledges to respect women's rights. Nagiz Nahan, who was the acting mining minister in 2017, said women were watching the kind of government the Islamist group would set up. If they want women's support, they should understand that we have expression, we have expectations. We want to be part of the government. We want to be part of the decision making. Although the Taliban have pledged to install a more progressive government than the one they led from 1996 till 2001, reports from areas that they have again control for some time suggest that girls and women there are being deprived of basic rights. Germans Merkel says looking for ways to talk with Taliban. German Chancellor Angela Merkel has said her government was talking with European partners to devise a way to have regular contact with the Taliban and have a European presence in Kabul without this amounting to a diplomatic recognition of the government. She also said there were still from 10,000 to 40,000 local support staff in Afghanistan who had a right to be evacuated to Germany. Many Afghans who helped international armed forces in their country now feel that their lives are in danger from the new Taliban rulers. Amnesty calls for investigation of US drone strike. The human rights organization Amnesty International has called for a probe into a US drone strike on Sunday in which 9 civilians are believed to have died, including children. The executive director of Amnesty International USA, Paul O'Brien said the attack carried out by the U.S. military on suspected Islamist terrorists needed a transparent and credible investigation. Yeah, there's a lot happening in Afghanistan. Clashes reported in Panjshir Valley. 18 Taliban fighters died in clashes with militants in the Panjshir Valley, north of Kabul. Reuters news agency reported, citing a representative of the main anti-Taliban opposition group. According to Reuters, Fahim Dashti, a spokesperson for the National Resistance Force (NRF), said the fighting late Monday took place on the western entrance to the valley where the Taliban attacked NRF oppositions. Panjshir has been the only province to hold out against the Taliban since their takeover of Kabul on August 15. Anti-Taliban forces in Panjshir Valley seem to form a guerrilla movement to take on the group. Uzbekistan says will allow only air transit of Afghan refugees. Uzbekistan's foreign ministry has said its land border to Afghanistan will remain closed and that it will help only Afghans on a German list of at-risk people who are flown in on a short-term basis before being taken to Germany. Many Afghans have rushed to the border with Uzbekistan in the hope of being able to escape the rule of the Taliban, who during their last period in power from 1996 to 2001 put in place an authoritarian regime based on a harsh interpretation of Islamic Sharia law. Germany's mass offers more assistance to neighbors. German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas has said his country is prepared to help Afghanistan's neighboring states manage their borders and combat terrorism. He said this help will come on top of the 100 million, I'm sure it's euros, 100 million euros or $118 million. Germany is providing in humanitarian aid, and the 500 million euro already offered to Afghanistan's neighbors. Maas also said that Germany would wait until the Taliban had established a new government to see if the Islamist group would keep its vow to let civilians leave the country via the airport in Kabul. Maas comments in Islamabad came after Pakistani Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi said that Afghanistan itself should receive help from the international community to prevent its economic collapse. He also said he expected a consensus government would be set up in Afghanistan in the coming days. Pakistan says won't take any more Afghan refugees. Pakistan has already taken in between 3 and 4 million Afghan refugees and will not accept any more, according to the Pakistani ambassador to Germany. Muhammad Faisal to the Berlin Daily Tagesspiegel that richer and larger countries should now accept refugees from Afghanistan. He said that his country would continue to help people leave Afghanistan with everything in its power, and that the border would stay open for the time being. His remarks came ahead of a visit to the Pakistani capital Islamabad by German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas. Taliban talking with Qatar and Turkey. French Foreign Minister. The Taliban have approached Qatar and Turkey to discuss the management of Kabul airport. French Foreign Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian said on Tuesday. So as you can hear here, these are all the news which was happening in Afghanistan, the different countries which are involved, what are they take, who's doing what, who's saying what. So now are also trying to take trying to find countries for the Afghanistan refugees or the people which don't want to be in Afghanistan anymore due to the Taliban taking over. So this is from DW News, which is just breaking down every part of who is involved in the whole Afghanistan. So now we are on Taliban talking with Qatar and Turkey. French Foreign Minister, the Taliban have approached Qatar and Turkey to discuss the management of Kabul airport. French Foreign Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian said on Tuesday. I'm not sure if I'm saying the surname right, but I'm not French, so the French also don't know how to say African names and surnames right. The Security Council resolution about securing the airport must be implemented. There are talks underway with the Qataris and Turks about management of the airport. We must demand that access to the airport is safe, Le Drian told France 2 television. This comes amid fears that commercial airlines could be unwilling to use the airport owing to security concerns. The Taliban have however, repeatedly said they will not accept any foreign military presence in Afghanistan. U.S. Embassy announces suspension of operations. A state on the website of the U.S. Embassy in Kabul says that it is suspending operations as of Tuesday, August 31st. While the U.S. government has withdrawn its personnel from Kabul, will continue to assist U.S. citizens and their families in Afghanistan from Doha, Qatar, the statement says. Taliban take full control of Kabul airport. The Taliban leaders have walked across the runway on the northern military side of Kabul's Hamid Karzai International Airport as a symbolic gesture following the final withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan. Remember, last day today, 31st, says, the world should have learned their lesson and this is the enjoyable moment of victory, said Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid in a live stream posted by a militant. We want to have good relations with the US and the world. We welcome good diplomatic relations with them all, he added. Some Afghans were reported to be still outside the airfield, hoping for a flight out of the country to escape coming under the rule of the Islamist extremist group. Many Afghans are terrified that the Taliban will govern the country as they did from 1996 till 2001, putting in place a brutal justice system and denying girls and women basic rights. Hey, there's so many news. Let's see what else do they still have? Because it's like, this is like, okay. There's so much happening. I don't think we're going to read all of them. So that's just what is happening in Afghanistan. There's a lot which is happening. So we shall see. But anyway, as you can hear, today it was the last day for America, including the others, to leave. So now what they're trying to do, they're trying to find ways of keeping the peace. And yeah, so hopefully when we talk again, we'll hear how America managed to achieve peace. But then it was an attack. Zuma refused to be examined by unpaid doctors. Let's do that to Zuma, please. I did say he's in the news again. 1 minute they are looking for money to pay for his legal fees. The next minute he doesn't want to cooperate. Okay, this is from the South African, and we press like again. Okay, this is from the South African, and it's by Connie van Zyl, and it was written 4 hours ago. It says former President Jacob Zuma has reportedly refused to be examined by National Prosecuting Authority (NPA) appointed doctors. Dada. Zuma is tired of his claims of ill health being treated with distrust. Yeah. Last week, Zuma's military doctors handed in a confidential medical report about his fitness to stand trial for arms deal-related corruption, while his lawyers had agreed to a court order that the state could appoint its own doctors to examine him. His foundation reportedly now insists this is unnecessary. Zuma is due back in court on 9 September when his lawyers will confirm whether or not they will seek a longer postponement of his trial. Zuma was hospitalized earlier this month as he underwent surgeries while serving a 15-month jail term of defying a constitutional court ruling that he appear before the state capture inquiry. The Apex Court is expected to rule on his application for a rescission of that judgment in the coming days. Meanwhile, South Africans seem to be opening up their wallets for former President Jacob Zuma, whose foundation have asked for help in the form of donations to pay for millions of rands in legal fees. In addition to his arms deal case, Zuma also sought legal assistance in relation to his appearance before the State Capture Commission. While he eventually didn't show up to the proceedings, there were several delays which prompted the help of lawyers, including several bids to avoid going to jail as per the Constitutional Court's ruling. Jacob Zuma Foundation thanks supporters for donations. Now, just days after kickstarting the fundraising drive for the former statesman, the Jacob Zuma Foundation says the contributions have been pouring in and has thanked people for their support. Today, we saw another generous installment of sacrifices by those heeding the call to assist H.E. Press Zuma. The contributions are going impressively. The foundation is very grateful. Thank you. There is no minimum amount. Every cent counts. Together we shall conquer. The Jacob Zuma Foundation, however, the foundation is keeping much for now as to exactly how much money has been donated so far. So never. There's monies, there's doctors, there's people. It's happening. So that's what has been happening. I don't think we're gonna do any more. And the other thing, Alex Lerner will aspire to be a police officer, stabbed to death. Oh gosh, that one is just bad. Our children are just getting out of hand. That's one thing which is scary. Oh, I don't wanna drag this too long, family. So we've got the Afghanistan, we've got our condolences to the ANC, and we've got our president, which doesn't want to be, former president, which doesn't want to be examined by the NPA doctors. So I think for today that's all, and then the rest is just your normal news, your COVID news, bullying at school still on the rise, children fighting, stabbing and killing each other at school. And then yes, with the COVID, it just keeps on growing. We keep on getting a better variant every season, changing. So I won't waste any time, family. I think for today that's all we're doing, and as we close, we monocular customer law patriarch leadership and the day. So I thought maybe there were like good news saying that we're closing Women's Month, something good about women, which we can close the month with. But it doesn't seem, oh. And then also the sad news was that one of the gunned down whistleblower. So let's just do that one, and then after that one we are done. So this is from Daily Mavericks. It's Daily Mavericks, I think. And it says Babita Babita Deokaran, How Not to Get Away with Murder. This is by Mark Haywood 7 hours ago. And in true Shakespearean style, it took a Colchester to use satire to tell the truth about the circumstances surrounding the murder of Babita Deokaran. This week, Zapiro's cartoon titled High Risk depicts a phalanx of security blue lights as we know them, providing protection for those who do corruption and nothing for those who expose it. Okay, this is just a cartoon. Okay, but what the cartoon couldn't reveal is some of the shocking facts that support its argument. Let's remind you, in the 2018-19 financial year, South Africa spent 2.6 billion on VIP protection, more than on rural land reform. The figures will have gone up since then. Okay. By contrast, money spent on witness and whistleblower protection is a tiny fraction of that. We do not even know how many billions of rands sit in the Criminal Assets Recovery Account, CARA, managed by the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, we think, which could be one way of funding whistleblower protection. CARA is a separate account within the National Revenue Fund into which all monies and property are deposited following a judicial forfeiture or confiscation order. Assisting whistleblower protection from this fund will be poetic justice. This is a sign of how we have our priorities wrong and of how most politicians have captured the state to serve the political elites rather than the people as it required by the Constitution. For example, I need to drink up first. Sorry. For example, in the same week that Babita Deokaran was murdered, the state paid hundreds of thousands of rands to lawyers arguing its case in the Constitutional Court about why it had reneged on an agreement to pay frontline public servants a modest increase. This week, when the Life Esidimeni inquest resumed, politicians and former public servants Qedani Mahlangu, Dr. Bani Selebano, Dr. Mahobo Manamela, and 8 others implicated in the arbitration hearings, an award had lawyered up at our expenses with some of the best and most expensive legal counsels in the land. For the next few weeks, we will be paying upwards of $500,000 rand a day to protect their rights as witnesses who have been called by the inquest and they are not even on trial yet. With lawyers like that, they probably never will be. We may not be able to strip a dirty politician of their right to legal representation, although as the SCA has ruled in relation to Jacob Zuma, what cost the taxpayer should be made to pay is an issue that should be interrogated. But we do believe that politicians should be stripped of their blue lights and asked to fend for themselves like the rest of us. There's nothing in the Constitution that gives a politician a right to a higher level of personal security. It's not as if most of them serve any useful purpose worth protecting, because, as Zapiro points out, many of them are directly involved with the very criminal syndicates we are paying to protect them from. And while we are at it, take away their medical aid schemes and access to private schools as well. Zapiro's cartoon also makes it clear that Babita Deokaran's death was a murder waiting to happen. The Gauteng Health Department is a live crime scene and she was a witness. It was an impermissible oversight. Every day if you drive down the street in Houghton, You will see a police nyala and one police car park idly outside some politician's house, sitting there all day, but nothing for Babita. That someone would want to harm her was predictable and preventable if those who work in the state had taken enough trouble to understand the implications of her high-stake revelations. Finally, Babita Dokram's murder rips the mask off any naivety we may have about those involved in corruption. These names we speak of so frequently: the MECs, the former SOE bosses, the metro mafias, have a lot to lose, and they will sometimes kill to protect their fiefdoms and stay out of prison. Not that many of them go to prison. This month in Malta, a small faraway island in the middle of the Mediterranean, an independent inquest into the 2017 murder of a corruption exposing journalist Daphne Caruana Galizia found that although it didn't plan the car bomb, the state was responsible for her murder. According to Al Jazeera, the inquiry conducted by one serving judge and two retired judges found that a culture of impunity was created by the highest echelons of power within the government of the time. The tentacles of impunity then spread to other regulatory bodies and the police, leading to collapse in the rule of law, said the panel's report, which was published by Prime Minister Robert Abela. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Given how embedded they are in corruption, the failure of our electoral system, and the lack of political alternatives, it's unlikely that decisive leadership against corruption and political murder will come from politicians. But what we do need our politicians to do is grow conscious. Is there too much to ask? These are reasons President Cyril Ramaphosa and Gauteng Premier David Makura's crocodile tears for Babita Jokran won't even start to wash away our pain and anger. We need to do more for us to believe you again. Ramaphosa's response is pro forma, drawn from a template called condolences and commitments, probably kept in the same folder as speeches to be adapted every time another woman is raped and murdered. Full of pomp and promises, actually wind and piss, and we all have no reason to trust them anymore. Ramaphosa says we cannot let them down. We must and we will ensure that their disclosures result in prosecutions and do much more to ensure that they are protected from harm. We agree. Ramaphosa already has a list of to-dos on whistleblowing handed to him by demonstrators, including some of our most respected whistleblowers outside the Zondo Commission. Makura too, he told a visual held to remember Babita Jokran that until people are arrested and serve a jail term for corruption, all the things I'm saying here mean nothing until the killers of Babita and those who send the killers, and I am convinced the person who pulled the trigger is not the only source of this killing, are arrested, what I say means nothing. Until I take concrete steps to bring the looters and the corrupted to book, you are right to say that all politicians are rotten. Close quote. We agree with them both, but how and when will you act? When will you be brave enough to rid your cabinets of people you know are corrupt? The last words are best expressed by Rhonda Williams, Babita's sister, who in a widely shared Facebook post prayed that the murder and their families experience hell on earth and in the hereafter. South Africans, we all need to be angry. We cannot accept this. My sister should not lose her promising future in vain. If we can make this country better for our daughter and niece and nephews, I know she will believe that she did not sacrifice her life in vain. South Africans need to stand together and not be quiet until my sister's perpetrators are punished. We have we have only one country to lose. Renew Williams' message make it clear that it's up to honest South Africans, and we are the majority, to act together to re-establish standards of morality, solidarity, ethics, legality, accountability, and justice, and to impose these on our politicians and political system. Okay, I'm not sure where does this one come. So that's the story about the whistleblower which was gunned down. So family, I think for today that's enough. So we've done our local, we went to, I think we spent more time in Afghanistan today, but in our local we've got the passing on of the MKMVA, we've got our former president which doesn't want to be examined by the NPA doctor, and also we've got the whistleblower. And yes, when it comes to whistleblowers in South Africa, they don't really understand how serious it is. We don't even know with the witness protections whether we do have witness protection units and so on in South Africa. But anyway, family, thank you very much for coming around the channel, coming view what we do on the channel, and hopefully you'll stick around. And please don't forget to share, like, comment, and also recommend the channel to anybody which you think might be interested. And to everybody else, thank you very much for all the love and for all the support. I really appreciate it, and thank you for helping me to grow this channel. And for my Zolisa on Acosa Chick TV on Thinking Things Tuesday. Bye.